Meeting to order. This is a September meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and we will start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please, if you'll stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Dale, if you'll take the roll, please.
Kathy Postlewaite.
Present.
Amanda Miller.
Present.
Jim Hurst.
Present.
Josh Fedor.
Present.
Josh Martin. Absent. You have 4.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. Just a word, and since there are 4 of us, if in fact any of these petitions we end up with a 2-2 tie, they will automatically be continued to our next meeting. So just FYI, anyone who's here with us tonight. Okay, the next item is the agenda, are the minutes from our August 6th meeting. Hopefully you've all had a chance to look at the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, the chair will do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, our next item, continued business. And the first item on the docket and continued business is petition number 2025-18-DSV. And Dale and Cheryl Kennedy are the petitioners here in the room. Mr. Andrioli, we'll start with the staff report, and then I'll ask you to come to the podium, give your name and address for the record, please. Staff report.
Yes, ma'am. This is a development center variance to zoning section 194052. It's a property located in the village. There's a standard of 35% lot coverage for properties in the village in this zoning district. The petitioner is asking for a variance to increase the lot coverage from 35% to 40.45%. If the variance is approved, there will be the construction of a 3,700 square foot single-family residence along with an in-ground swimming pool. To skip to the staff opinion as it relates to the variance request, number 1, the grant will not be injurious to public health and safety. Staff agrees with this criteria, agrees with the petitioner on this criteria. With the exception of lot coverage, the petitioner's proposal meets the applicable development standards. Number 2, the use or value of the area adjacent to this property will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Again, we agree with the petitioner on this criteria. Constructing this residence should improve the value of the parcel. Additionally, it should have no adverse impact on the surrounding uses, which are also single-family residential housing. Number 3 is where we disagree. Strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance, in our opinion, do not result in unnecessary hardship in the use of the property. Again, just to read how staff defines unnecessary hardship, all relevant factors taken together indicate that the land involved cannot yield a reasonable return because of unique circumstances. A claim of unnecessary hardship justifying a grant of a variance cannot be based upon a self-created condition, and mere showing of economic loss is not sufficient. In this case, we believe the property can yield a reasonable return, noting nothing in the zoning ordinance prohibits the property from being developed. In this case, the site just isn't big enough to support a 3,700 square foot home and a 400 square foot pool. Again, a claim of unnecessary hardship should not and cannot be self-created. That's why staff does not support the variance request. I guess to give some background as to why this was continued, this was originally submitted with a couple of variance requests, one for an encroachment into the front yard. The second was for lot coverage, and I believe it was a much higher number than 40%. The petitioner went through an alleyway vacation through the town council, which was approved, which gave him more wiggle room on site and helped reduce his overall lot coverage. I know the petitioner also went through 2 or 3 revisions as far as the design of the home to try to get this as close to compliant as he possibly could. Still, at 40.45%, he was not able to get there. And because of our positioning with unnecessary hardship, staff cannot support the request. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there questions for staff? No? Okay, Mr. Andreoli, you'd give your name and address, please, for the record.
Madam President, for the record, Mike Andreoli, 1393 West Oak Street. I'm here representing Dale Kennedy, and Dale has his wife here with him tonight. Dale has a business on Main Street, an accounting business on Main Street. They now live out in the Cooper Road area in a large lot, a very large house, and some accessory structures out there. They're looking to downsize. They want to move into the village, obviously, where his office is. They've had some medical issues. They have a pool out at their current location, a much larger pool. They want to try to maintain that pool if they can, if permitted, in the new proposed house on this particular lot. We have gone through 3 different designs, working with staff on this particular lot to try to see if we can come into complete compliance. An original design basically had only not only a lot coverage issue, but also had setback issues on both sides. This is kind of an unusual lot, as it's a kind of a lot and a half. It's an L-shaped lot. Most of you, and many of you who've lived here a long time know that there was a house on that lot originally, a small single-family residence that was maintained as such. And then years later, the Russell family bought it and used it for Russell Plumbing and Heating and a little office there that they maintained. And then eventually that house was taken down, and then Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy bought it from the Russells. With the alley vacation, which they obviously had half go to this particular lot, and also some redesign of the house, they were able to eliminate any of the setback requirements. So they're not gonna need any setback requirements. They're in compliance with all other provisions of the town, other than just the square foot requirement. This lot is subject to the 37%, with its current design 37% allowance. And so we're essentially not just going from 35%, but on up to the 40% if permitted. We've done about everything they can to maintain the kind of property, the forever home that they want in the village, and try to comply with the exception of the lot coverage issue. And Dale will be happy to answer any questions. But at this particular point, we've done all we can do to try to minimize the variances needed, including eliminating the setback variances for this particular lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andreoli. Are there questions for Mr. Andreoli or the petitioners?
Mike, you mentioned a medical reason for a pool. Did you say there was a medical reason for a swimming pool?
Yes.
Okay.
One additional thing, if I may. And staff alerted me that one of the neighbors had a concern with regard to the potential for a tree removal. For those of you who've looked at the site in the actual L shape, right as the 2 lots come together, there's a very large tree. We don't know whether it's diseased at this particular point in time. It looks a little rough from time to time, but we don't have the expertise at this point to know whether it's a viable tree. There's some branches that are hanging over onto this particular lot that would have to be trimmed or removed. And I've suggested to Dale, as we have in a number of other minor plats in the town, when we have a situation where there's a tree on somebody else's property, but there's a lot of branches that hang over, and that's been several proposed homes in the village, that we hire an arborist to come out and look at the tree to determine whether or not it's diseased, share that with the property owner, and see if an accommodation can be made with regard to the diseased tree. Also, if it's a healthy tree, and all we need to do is trim some branches, and an arborist is the best person to be able to tell us how to do that, rather than just start ripping and sawing, which has happened in the village before without necessarily being needed. So we are suggesting and agreeing to commit to hire an arborist to look at the tree, provide the details to the adjacent property owner. Part of that tree may even be on our property. We haven't had it staked, so we don't know, but either way, we'll get all of that done at Mr. Kennedy's cost, hire an arborist, have a study done, a tree evaluated, and then if there's any trimming to do, share that with the property owner at the recommendation how to do it and where to do it based upon the recommendation of the arborist. So wanted to go ahead and make that comment and make that commitment to the board to the extent that the neighbors here tonight or has any concerns. That's what we are happy to go ahead and do.
Other questions for the petitioners? Do we have anyone here that would like to speak about this petition? Yes, please come to the podium, give your name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Jim Barber, 12749 West Road. I'm a builder, remodeler here in the Zionsville, Carmel area. And in response to this gentleman here wanting to get 45%, I've been through this process many times before with some of the homes I've built in the village. And one of the things I appreciate what you guys do for controlling the architectural standards and what you do as far as compliance with drainage issues and all the coverage issues. And it gets very complicated and very difficult when you start building houses in downtown Zionsville. But I'm going to put two addresses down for you, 395 North Walnut and 145 North Main Street. These are two homes that take up a lot of lot coverage, probably more than what his request is. So when you start setting precedent for these larger homes with tall roof lines, you know, they put pools in their yard like they did at Walnut Street. I mean, where do you stop? You know, and so they all have precedence in terms of building. And I always love to build things for people to meet their dreams and their expectations for they want to live and make home in the village, which is a very popular place for a lot of people. You know, you're talking homes that have values of 500 square feet plus, which $500 a square foot, which is huge. No other place in Indianapolis or Zionsville or Carmel do you have that kind of that square footage price. So I would be in support of this gentleman here doing what he wants to do because there's other properties within the village area that have the precedent that have you all established in terms of lot coverage areas. So.
Well, thank you for your comments. I just
Yeah.
want to say that we handle these petitions on a case-by-case basis, and there is no precedent. One case does not, or one petition does not set a precedent for any other petition. So that's kind of the way this board is meant to function. So thank you for your comment.
Yep.
Joe, do we have anyone online back there? Is Joe back there? No one? Okay, thank you. No other folks who would like to speak on this petition here in the room? Thoughts? Other questions for the staff or for the petitioners?
Have the architectural plans been approved aside from the variance? Has there been any, I don't know, if you final architect, I saw a site plan, I just didn't see final architecturals. I don't know if you had been through that process.
Clarencedale Kennedy, 8300 Cooper Lane, Zionsville, Indiana, 46077. There's not been any approval because we have to go through this step first. But other than the lot coverage, we pretty much got the nod from the planners that does fall within.
So you don't have any final plans yet,
No,
just been working
we do
on-
have the final plans,
Okay.
but we're waiting on this approval.
right before you submit? I was just wondering if you had
Before we submit,
architecturals
yes.
to see how it positioned on the lot.
And I believe that you guys have a copy of the final plans.
Oh, I only see a site plan here.
Right, just a site plan. but-
We don't have final architecturals.
I think we've gone ahead and laid it out on the site, and that's part of the application. So it's only final to the extent that we receive an approval based upon that specific layout. So That's really what we're talking about.
Yeah, I was just hoping to see if you had architectural plans, it would help better orient,
I do have them.
if you don't mind sharing.
Other thoughts, questions? We run into the
No,
hardship.
I do want to recognize that we did have the letter of demonstration
Right.
that came in, and quite a bit of that, I echo some of those sentiments in that remonstration letter, actually. Well-written, and I guess I appreciate it.
Yeah.
The plans.
Yeah, I think the record should show that,
The actual building plans themselves?
you don't, no, we don't.
No.
Oh,
No,
Just, I
we're
just
fine.
thought if you had you had.
Like an elevation.
An elevation, correct, yes.
oh,
So we are in receipt of a letter of interest, which is in opposition to the approval of this. It is signed by a number of the neighbors in the area, in the village. So I'm sure you're aware of that, Mr. Andreoli.
Yes.
So that has been also taken into consideration, although we have no one particularly here speaking this evening regarding this. We run into this 35% lot coverage frequently, and we understand that it's very frustrating to people who want to live in the village and they want to, particularly when they are building. The gentleman mentioned a couple of houses which have built right to the limit of what's permitted and even sometimes beyond that. There are reasons for that lot coverage, and as I know you've been around a long time, you know what those reasons are. I mean, green space and drainage and all of the issues that come with houses that are fairly close together. So we try to be respectful of those. And the case to be made about whether someone has an actual hardship based on the lot is a very high bar, and we understand that. But it is the bar which we must use to make a decision about whether to grant this or not, as I think you know. So I don't know if we have thoughts about what you would like to do.
We would all like bigger homes. And has been very typically my practice, especially in the village. I struggle with lot coverage issues. I simply do.
For me, those lot-to-lots, some that you mentioned, those are a struggle for me as well. But I do love that people are investing in the village properties and raising the value of those houses and the homes around them. It's hard for me to get around the list of people around you that are not for the development. And that's why I asked for those elevations, because maybe it would show me as to why, for instance, from a site plan, it doesn't look as invasive, but it's a site plan, you know? So sometimes if it's not right to the line. So yeah, that list makes it difficult.
Yeah, we have a standard of 35,
37 here.
or 37,
Yeah,
but
with the,
you're right, thank you. But we have that for a reason, and going to a 40.45 is a big ask. It's a big step up from where we were. And like I said, I think the remonstration letter kind of hit on some points as well that do kind of make sense to me as well, so.
Are we ready to make a motion? Are we ready to make a decision?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I move that docket 2025-18 DSV Development Standards variance to increase the maximum lot coverage to 40.45 in the Urban Village Residential RV zoning district for property located at 210 West Hawthorne Street be denied as presented and described.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst. Further discussion? All right, Mr. Dale, will you take a roll, please?
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Amanda Miller.
Aye.
Kathy Postlethwaite.
Aye. Sorry, that's
Thank you.
denied. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the docket is petition number 2025-22-UV, 2025-23-UV, and 2025-24-DSV. This is continued from our last meeting. Mr. Wilson's in the room, and we'll start with the staff report, please.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we're going to be going back over the three requests that were continued from the August BZA meeting. The first one is a use variance to allow the use of outdoor recreation facility in the R2 zoning district. The second use variance is to provide for the use of retail in the R2 zoning district. And the third request is going to be a development standard variance pursuant to the section number, which is 194069, to exceed the limitation for signs. This will include both wall signs and a couple of yard signs and other things that are on the property. You'll exceed, not only will you have a variance that will allow for the wall signage, which is not a permitted thing in the R2, but you'll also have a variance that will allow him to exceed the number of signs, which right now the zoning standard is only one sign, right? He'll obviously have more than that. And then the second part is the total square footage. You're only allowed to have 6 total square feet of signage. He will exceed that number. So when you approve these signs, know that you're approving it to allow for wall signs, number one, to have more than the maximum allowed, which is 1 sign, and to have more than 6 total square feet, okay? To recap, up to this point, to go to staff's positioning as far as the 3 requests, staff, as it relates to the outdoor events, we did not support that request, mainly because of the impact that it was going to have on the area, right? Not only the impact, but the improvements to the site and how that was going to impact the area, which specifically were items number 2 and number 4, as far as the questions that were having to be answered for the use variance relative to the outdoor use. As far as it goes with the retail use, staff did not support that request either, again, for the same reasons as the outdoor events, which is the impact it would have on the local area, which is specifically question number 2 and question number 4 on the findings. However, as it relates to the development standard variance for signage, staff did support that. If you're going to approve the use variances, staff believes that the petitioner has the right to advertise his business, and the zoning ordinance does not account for that. So we did support the variances for signage. To recap the changes from the August meeting to today, right? The petitioner was asked at the last meeting to submit 2 things. One, a product list, essentially what items are you going to sell at the store? And then the second thing was to provide some parameters or constraints to the outdoor events. The petitioner did that. He submitted both of those items, and those items were included in your packet for you to review. You'll see on the screen, this is a quick summary of the products that'll be in the retail store. Again, just to scroll through here, so it's on the video for people to see. Personal care, household and cleaning, culinary, fruits, just fresh produce in general to go through that. Dairy and eggs. You got pantry items, handmade artisan products, beverages, and then a variety of other products here on the list. The second thing was the outdoor events. And the petitioner provided a summary of his business, an operation plan. And if you look through there, you will see a section for the events and community engagement where he lays out the parameters around the outdoor events. Again, happy to answer any questions relative to these two specific items that were turned in. With that, I don't want to take up time for other people to speak, so I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there questions for the staff on these documents that have been generated by Mr. Wilson? None? Okay, if the petitioner would like to come to the podium, give your name and address, please, and
Good evening, I'm Tim Wilson at 9015 East 200 South, owner-operator Willie's Wagyu, and I've got the list and I've got the events. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I have a couple of questions for you. You don't mention here, at least if you did, I must have overlooked it, the hours that you expect to have the farm store operating?
Right now, it's just Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 12 to 6. We don't anticipate that changing. We actually see hours probably coming down for the fall.
So you would specify that your hours would be Wednesday through Saturday, and you said 9 to 6?
12 to
12 to 6?
1 in the morning, yeah.
Do you anticipate doing online sales?
Yes.
And you would be shipping?
We are going to turn on shipping hopefully at the end of this month.
And so you would have truck traffic coming in to pick up things to be shipped? Or how would that work exactly? How would that increase the traffic to your site?
It wouldn't. I mean, we would be taking this stuff to UPS in our freezer truck.
Okay, so you would prepare the shipments at your shop and then take them to UPS to be shipped? And you expect to have a total of, do I count 5 employees at when you have full employment? How many employees do you expect to have?
Right now, we just have one part-timer.
Yes.
I think Chris put in the plan 5 because that may be where we're at 3 to 5 years from now, and that was the scope of that business operating plan.
Well, you're talking about by Q2 in 2026, so you said 5 years, but it looks like by Q2 of 2026, you expect to have 3 full-time on-site employees plus owner-operators. So if somebody would be running the store and other people managing the cattle?
Shipping. So
Right.
we'll see how that goes. I mean, right now, we're kind of at a standstill, so I don't even see 5 people in my future.
Well, I'm just talking about
Yeah.
I'm talking about your operations plan.
Yeah.
What would you
Yep.
anticipate having in full employment?
Hopefully, we'll have 5. Hopefully, business will be that good, and a couple of them are dedicated to shipping, and one's to harvest management and herd management.
You specified that you would like to have as many as 12 events, and with a cap of 100 people per event, and you have parking for up to 25 vehicles, and you say you don't think you'll have a problem with overflow parking.
No, because our large events is like the event that we're going to do here in November. It'll be at Cohatch in the village. That'll have a cap of 100 people. So not all of our events will be on the site of the farm.
Oh, I see. So you
Okay.
would be off-site. These would be events
These
off-site.
are both. We thought we'd put in the most fully transparent and all-encompassing all of our events. So the barbecue competition hopefully goes off November 1st at Cohatch. That they have a capacity of 100, I think, is the max that they can accommodate there. And on the farm, really, it's just like I told a gentleman after the first meeting, it's spring calving, it's July breeding, and it's fall calving. Those are the event fundraisers where I think the real value is for the community with Purdue. So, that's where we're at.
Okay, so you would be capping the number of people that would be coming to events on the farm?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause that's
Especially in the calving situation, safety is a first priority.
So that's not clear in the operations plan that you put together here. So Other questions for the petitioner?
What is the square footage of the retail storefront?
What do we think? I think, yeah, it's less than 400 or 500 square feet. It's,
400 or 500?
yeah. I
Okay.
mentioned, I think it's 25 by, the current concrete pad that we have in there is maybe 25 by 30 tops.
And that's going to include your glass front freezers and all that as well? And
Yeah.
the-
And any shelving for, the eggs or any of the other
Okay.
items. Yeah.
What are the hours, you've told us what the hours of retail are, but what are the hours of the operations of the farm itself? Well, I know that's a broad number.
I would say it's 12 to 14 hours. I'm there every day, 12 to 14 hours, starting roughly at 6 a.m., and I leave most nights at 7:30.
And the early events that you had discussed in your operation, I'm assuming that's your calving early
Yeah, I
meeting
mean-
or events.
Yeah, the
and
way that
that's-
works is, we induce the cattle, and then you just wait. And so, not knowing what that window is going to be, we just felt like we had to do that to be transparent. But, the
And-
last two have all gone in the afternoon, so.
So just to be clear, you call that an event, so people come to watch the cows, the calves, the calving? I see.
And learn the science and the technology behind that.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, we have Jan 5 of the neighbors' kids for homeschool, and they used that part of their homeschool activity in the last, 2 weeks ago we had, yeah. And just to cover that point, our insurance company has already approved all of this, and there's liability waivers and all of, the attorneys have done their job, obviously.
On the outdoor events, from the way you're describing them, it's majority Purdue. It's an agreement or a cooperative venture with Purdue University. Would you commit to yourself to being only that event going on at this farm site?
The 3 Purdue events?
Yes, it would be, so you would commit yourself to just being a Purdue, the events that going on the farm site would just be for Purdue University or in cooperation with Purdue in some nature?
Yeah, I don't think I have an issue with that. I'm obviously put on the spot without really spending time thinking about it, but.
And the only reason I bring this up is I don't want to give you approval for outdoor operations and then start having weddings out there. So I'm just trying to control.
I know where that's coming from. It's been stuffed in mailboxes, both the wedding thing and the music thing. It's not accurate. What is accurate is an education, science, and math for the community. And then clearly, the cooking contest is going to be huge for the village. It's going to be a great event. And so,
That's not happening on your site? That's
no,
correct?
again, we're
Okay.
negotiating
So
currently
that-
with the Cohatch.
You
so-
don't need a use variance to do that with Cohatch?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
But again, it's going to be an event that we're going to have, and Willie's Wagyu is going to name on it and all of that good stuff. So we thought we should disclose that, even though that's not happening at the farm.
You can understand our interest is what you're going to be doing on that piece of property. What you do off-site in relation to your brand is not something
Right.
that we're dealing with. So
And
it's important
you'll
for
remember
us-
from the first meeting, that's exactly what I said was happening on the site for the events.
Right.
And my objection to the box that was checked was these were calving, breeding events, and animal husbandry events with Purdue. That's all we're doing.
To go to your product list, can you explain to me what feathers, you had feathers as a
Yeah, I was
listed
surprised
product
to
of
see
what-
that. I thought Chris had a fetish with feathers, but he
Okay,
doesn't.
I was
So
just
we're not
sitting
sure
there,
how the
we'll start at
feathers,
the bottom and work
how
up, I
feathers
guess.
got on there. So,
Okay, so you're not intending on selling feathers?
not that I know of.
Okay.
So then I have to ask you, how was this list created then?
We went through it. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
It was included to be a non-exhaustive list of potential products, and with the poultry and other egg items related to that, it fit the mold.
So anything that could conceivably be sold at your store is on this
The
list?
idea was farm farm-derived products.
I see.
From local, from Boone County, Indiana vendors
Yeah.
roughly.
I've lived in Boone County my whole life. No one's raising citrus and figs.
Yeah,
So this isn't just local products
Right.
on this list that I'm looking at. That's what's concerning me.
right.
Yeah, and I think, let's remember where the list came from with staff, was this is a way to keep anonymous at bay when they come into my store and then they want to turn me in for selling eggs or something that I wasn't on the list. So that's how the list kind of took hold.
Keep working down this list of products here. You have cider, alcohol. I assume there'll be an alcohol liquor license acquired if you're going to be selling alcohol.
Some people
I'm-
just drink apple cider.
Yeah.
I know.
And I'm 6 years sober, so there's no alcohol on this
Okay.
property.
But the list did say alcohol on there, so that's why I have to ask.
Did it?
And then the,
I
you,
don't see, I'm sorry.
I don't see it on
I
this
don't
list.
see
I thought I saw it on there. It said cider alcohol.
Infused apple cider, which I think probably means
Okay.
infused with,
I apologize then on that. On to compost. I know we've had concerns in the past about compost piling. You have odor concerns, et cetera, with that. You have compost on your product list. Is that going to be contained in a, how's that, how many square yards of compost are you talking about having on site? Is this going to be contained? Is it, explain to me what you mean when you say you're going to sell compost.
Again, it was an option for people that have asked to buy our manure. So if that's the case, then we got to figure out how we're going to collect it. So I highly doubt that gets played, honestly.
Again, these are products that are on the product list, so I had to ask on them.
Yep.
And then the last one, firewood, I assume that's not going to be stored, that's going to be stored in a safe area, not on the, close to the buildings where a fire risk is potential? Okay. And that's all the questions I had.
Glad to see you caught the feathers.
I had a question about the parking. I know this would potentially go to planning commission if, depending on how today goes. But I know, Josh, with you having your maybe planning commission on it, there was some concerns about parking and being able to hit that capacity. Based on the designated structure, can that actually accommodate 100 cars if you were to have a 100-person event?
We got
It
plenty of.
doesn't look big enough based on the site that you kind of allocated.
We have
but-
used the overflow parking in the yard, which is on the other, just to the, let me get my directions. So the north side of the property, east of the barn, there is all kinds of gravel for the parking lot currently. And then we've used the yard to the east of that for at least 25 cars, I think, at the open house, maybe 30. So there's plenty of space because there's no house on there now. It's just the barn. Parking, I think, is our we got plenty of it.
other questions. I think we have some people here with us who would like to speak, so we take this, like, and continue to
Yeah, I think I would
noodle
agree
a
to
little
that.
bit. And those, I have those who have signed up to speak. Dawn Ayers, would you like to come to the podium, give your name and address, please, for the record?
Dawn Ayers, 1575 South 900 East, Zionsville. Let me start by saying I mean no ill will to you, Tim. I want to be your good neighbor. But I feel both sides of this story need to be told. And I think that changing the zoning from R2 to retail benefits one person and one person only, and that is Tim Wilson. I'm not sure why the commission would change a decades-old zoning policy that protects our rural way of living for the benefit of one person. This makes no sense to me, and I don't understand why that change would be considered. I think granting these variances sets up a slippery slope for the conversion of our way of life in this area to go from quiet, peaceful country life to city life. If you grant these variances, what is to stop me from saying, I want to put a gas station on my 6 acres of land, or I want to do a event wedding center in my pole barn that's a 1/4 of a mile up the road? If you grant him these variances, I think you grant everyone else who requests those variances. I do think it sets a precedent, and I think it's naive to take one person's word that it's going to be a fantastic deal for all of us. We in rural Zionsville have been led down this path by other developers who tell this commission what a wonderful thing their project is going to be for our community, and surprise, surprise, it turns out it's not. Can we maybe just leave one little sliver of Zionsville, R2, instead of changing the variance? Again, I mean no insult to Tim. It may be that he's the most forthright person on the planet, but we've all been duped on countless occasions where when there's money to be made, Lord knows, intentions and deals change. I know his threat of, if I don't get the variances, I'm going to sell out to a home developer is looming, but if our area is left R2 with well and septic required, we would not be looking at too many homes, and they would likely be estate homes on 1 to 2 acres. The question to those surrounding this property is, do you really want to have a 25 to 100 space parking lot, depending on what he's granted, with big bright parking lights and people coming and going for events, and the potential that someday it turns into more of an event center for other things like social events or corporate sponsorship events on Friday and Saturday nights? I feel like once the variance is granted, things might get out of control. As well, maybe the store develops into a busy market with the offerings that are on that list. It sounds more like a grocery store. Then you get the traffic that accompanies that venue. You may argue that Albert has his store, but that's a small seasonal vegetable stand that's been there for over 40 years. So I think we know what we're getting with Albert's. I think when you look at some other parts of the world where they've actually preserved the quaint atmosphere like places in New England and Maine that have very strict development laws that they actually stick to, you may see that it can be done and that the personal property values in those areas are some of the highest in the world. Allowing commercial development devalues all of our properties surrounding that property. Again, one man's profit should not take precedence over those of others in the same community. I would ask our committee members if they would be willing to have this sort of an operation in their neighborhood next door to their home. I also think that if this is about Tim teaching Purdue students about farming Wagyu beef, that could be done much more efficiently by him going to Purdue and being an assistant professor in Lafayette. Audiovisual aids have certainly progressed to a level where you can easily show the pole barn, the animals, the refrigeration, the trucks, without having to bring 100 Purdue students down to see that production. It just seems more logical to me to have one person go to Purdue rather than hundreds of students come to Zionsville. I think that would eliminate the need for a parking lot with big parking lights in our neighborhood. And even though it's not a designated neighborhood, to those of us who live there, it is our neighborhood. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me to change the zoning from R2.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Sayers. Jim Barber?
Again, Jim Barber, 12749 West Road. I've been in Zionsville since 1990, so it's quite a long ways. And our kids attended the Union Elementary School before the Union moved over to 146th Street. And I think the thing that I would like just to share, and again, thank you for your commitment to what you do for the town of Zionsville, but when we talk about homes being built and we talk about zoning being given to other people, I'm not sure, is there ever really a long-term plan for any areas of Zionsville, specifically this area we're talking about? What is it that it's going to look like in 20 to 30 to 40 years? So if you look at properties, what they do today, and we're saying we're going to have 25 parking lot, or we're going to have this, we're going to have this. Let's fast forward 25 years, and I'm going to use the executive airport as an example. So in '92, there was a group of union parents that got together, and we fought hard to keep the expansion of the airport going in the direction that it's gone in. And so if you fast forward to 2025, being a contractor remodel, when I go into the Willows or I go into those subdivisions that are just right by Union Elementary, you have aircraft landing right in front of your, 100, 150 feet up. Did we expect that in 1992 for that kind of traffic to happen? So just don't think about the moment, think about the future. Think about what this means to Zionsville when you start granting these permits or these zoning variances for people that they're going to say what they're going to do. Because quite honestly, if I'm going to get a permit to do something and I get a variance to do something, I'm going to keep walking very slowly and ask for more next year and ask for more the next year and ask for more the next year. And so at some point in time, long-term planning is very critical to the success of Zionsville. And if you go up Michigan Road, you can see what's gone on in terms of the development. And when you look at some of the surrounding areas being in Carmel and Noblesville, they have very strict permitting in terms of what you do for properties, not only for what you use it for, but how you make that building look like. So, kudos to Carmel for what they've done, as far as managing the permits and the architectural standards and what they do. So, again, think long term. Just don't let someone take into a piece of property and start walking their way over the next 5 to 10 years and then start expanding it more than what it ever has been. So, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Lynn Jenkins.
Lynn Jenkins, 1730 South 950 East. I live about a mile the way the crow flies from Willie's Wagyu. Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, he wants everybody to be a good neighbor. Well, I want you to keep Mr. Rogers in your mind with a sweater as he's saying, are you a good neighbor? Because right now, even without all the variances that are being requested, we do not have a good neighbor. On Saturdays and Sundays, not to mention during the week, but on those sleep-in days, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. The construction wakes you up. The pounding, the constant pounding, the trees are already gone, so there's not so much sawing. But whatever he's doing, there is a lot of it going on. It is jarring, to say the least. And I believe I heard the word standstill right now. I don't know what all the noise is if he's at a standstill right now, because there is a lot of noise coming from that area. On Facebook, before I was banned from his page or blocked, he talked about being such a good neighbor and how good this was for the neighborhood. And I could be wrong on this, and please correct me immediately, but when you have a variance, doesn't it go to the property, not to the person who owns the property? So he was saying on Facebook that when he leaves, the variance goes with him. I'm pretty sure that's not right, but yet he was telling all his Facebook followers that not a problem if he gets the variance and he leaves. No big deal. The next person wouldn't be able to do anything else. And then again, a neighbor right there, right across the road from him, after an altercation, I have seen them, he took floodlights and cameras and has them posted right on his neighbor's back door. So the neighbor can't walk out of the door without being observed. I don't know if I did that to my neighbors. Well, actually, I don't have neighbors yet. I will soon because I have a subdivision coming in. Again, those developers, aren't they something? But anyway, I don't think putting lights and cameras on your neighbor is being a good neighbor. As far as his country grocery store, I don't know why you'd need cleaning products. They're not farm products. To me, I don't even know why he'd be putting fruits and vegetables there because we already have a perfect fruit and vegetable stand right across the way. It's a nice little rural country stand. And I think he'd be bringing in things, whereas Albert actually grows many things. Yes, he brought in peaches from North Carolina because we don't do good Indiana peaches. But I don't think he's showing any effort to be a good neighbor. His 7-Eleven will definitely not be a good neighbor in our area. Lastly, I think at the last meeting, I heard a threat that he would subdivide if he wasn't allowed to farm. And to be quite frank with you, I believe I would rather have a subdivision than this farm as a neighbor because I think it will be more peaceful, more quiet, and will be somebody who Mr. Rogers would approve of. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else who would like to speak on this petition? Well, please, give your name and address at the podium.
Jan Sizik, 1893 South 900 East. I was there when we did the educational event, and these are the kind of things that he was talking about. It's not about bringing the Purdue students in, although they do come, but it's about allowing the kids, he's very much about the kids, allowing the kids to be educated. And these kids were so into it, and they homeschool, so they're able to use these sort of things for their homeschooling. They have a provision that they can do. If they have some video that shows that they were there, they can use that. So, I mean, it was awesome. These kids were so into it, and they're still talking to me about it. So that's what we're talking about.
All right, thank you very much. Joe, do we have anybody online who would like to? Nope? Okay, thank you. Are we ready to discuss? You know, I can't help but think that, sorry. Oh, okay, sorry. I've been corrected. If you'd like to say a few words about the comments that were made. Thank you very much, Counselor.
I have a lot of comments I can make. I won't do it because none of those people have been willing to sit down and have a conversation with me. But I will correct the record. There are not 100 Purdue students coming down. The most there ever is with Dr. Funnell and Rita is 2 students. They're always 4th-year students, and they're there to really prove to Dr. Funnell their abilities so that they can continue on and graduate. It is much more about what Jan said, having a small group of students that are junior high or less, really, being able to experience seeing what we saw in the last 2 weeks, a calf having to be chained out, but surviving, and then also seeing what these kids saw, which was a death. We lost a calf. And so there's a lot more to this story than just what these folks are saying. And so I appreciate their opinion. They have refused to sit down and have any conversation with me. And as far as the banging, that's an exaggeration. I've been through this with Bobby Knox, and we're exempt from all that because of the acreage that we have. So that's all I would say on those comments.
Thank you.
Any other questions for me before I go back?
Anything else?
Yeah, a few moments ago I asked you, you said majority of the, I'm getting confused. majority of the events going on at the farm that you're going to host are going to be in cooperation with Purdue. But you just now said at most 2 students were coming down with the vet, and that was local kid. I want to get my feelings about what is actually these events.
Yeah, to piggyback off him as well, having homeschooler kids there watching the calving going on, you're doing currently, and I mean, that doesn't need approval from us. Does that need, you can continue doing that, right? Am I wrong on that? I'm trying to understand.
My insurance
Okay.
company has no problem with
It sounded like you were under the impression that we were permitting that regardless of the.
Yeah, and perhaps that's a question for staff.
yeah.
What he's doing with regard to educating, with the cattle rearing business is permitted currently. I mean, he can be doing that without getting any kind of a use variance from us.
He can do, I'm going to speak in layman's terms because I can't quote the definition, but he can essentially operate as a farm. Because he qualifies as 20 acres, he can operate as a farm and do farming-related activities. Additionally, he can sell farming-related produce that is either grown, produced, or grown or produced either on-site or on a farm in the area. It's been determined that the events, I don't know exactly, I believe it was a barbecue event that you had, not a barbecue event, but like a food tasting event where I guess it was code enforcement that got involved. I don't think it was a calving.
No, there was
it wasn't a calving
yeah,
event
it was a
where he was
barbecue.
turned into code enforcement. I think it was a cooking, culinary type of event. To be completely honest with you, I don't think as staff we've talked about the specific calving events. The code enforcement issue that was brought to our attention was the culinary cooking. I think it was a Purdue nonprofit event or something that you had earlier in the year. That was the code enforcement issue. That was where the outdoor event use, that was what that was more geared toward.
And that's where the outdoor recreational event center box
And
was
that's
checked.
where that was. It stemmed from a code enforcement issue where there was a complaint about the cooking event, not the calving. We could have, I'm sitting here talking right now, just thinking, I would think, and again, I'm not an expert on the events, but I would think that would fall under a farming operation to some degree.
I would agree. I think that would be considered part of normal farming operations, is to have students occasionally come and see a farming operation.
But the
That would
cooking
include
part,
calving
Yeah, right.
yeah.
but the cooking events and the fundraisers of that type of nature, that's what would fall on, and on site too. Those events that you're hosting on site, not at Cohatch, but the cooking events or the group events with Purdue that you're having where you have large amounts of people, whatever that would qualify as, 25 to 100. Those are the types of events the outdoor use is geared toward, not necessarily the calving where you have 5 homeschooled students and 2 Purdue students.
And then just to reiterate, selling product that's produced on his farm and/or local farms is approved as it sits today.
So, to his credit, and just to be transparent, there was some discussion about what fell under the definition of farm, right? Originally, and the way it had been looked at was it had to be grown and produced on site. Well, if you read the definition of farm, it allows for produce that is also farmed or grown on other in the area. So essentially, you could sell your neighbor's eggs, right? And so it took a second, but eventually we got to that conversation where we expanded it not just to the beef grown on site, but you can sell other produce or other farm type stuff that are grown and raised in other areas, other farms in the area, right? There was not a definition, right, provided of what local meant, right? Does local mean Boone County, Hamilton County? Does it mean the state of Indiana, right? Does it mean this region, right? We didn't put parameters around that. We just said local. However, that conversation was had, but for whatever reason, and it's his right, Mr. Wilson didn't want to restrict himself to that category, right? And so we got the list, right? And to his credit, staff did ask for a all-inclusive list, because what will ultimately happen is something won't be included, right? Something, whatever he's doing, something won't be included, and somebody will go into his store and complain, right? And yeah, maybe we approved certain parts of his store, but we didn't specifically approve the soap, right? So now we got a code enforcement issue because he's selling soap and not just beef, eggs, and tomatoes, right? So we asked him, if you think you're going to sell something, put it on the list, because that's going to help staff when it comes to code enforcement issues. It's going to help us if we have a list that y'all approve, right? That way we could refer to the list and say, hey, he's selling this list, here's the list, it was approved by BZA. And so it just helps us. I don't know if that answered all of y'all's
It did. Thank you.
question.
Very helpful.
Josh, that Amanda piggybacked onto your question. Did you get
If you'd like to sit down while we're, if you'd like to sit down while we're discussing, thank you.
It cleared out, but back to my original question is, I really see no problem with having Purdue students coming down for an educational event. On-farm education is the best education. But I guess I got a little confused there when I heard local students were coming, or, homeschool kids are coming, and then at most 2 students are coming with the vet. So I guess I was a little confused on what these events were. I would have no problem limiting the events to events that are of an educational basis or with Purdue University. But I really have concerns about opening this thing wide open to an event center, because you can think of 1,000 different events that can go on there that weren't the nature where we were trying to go. Well, I don't think that's Mr. Wilson's intent. I just want to make sure we're covered for down the road.
Well, what I wonder is, if he can't, without these use variances, if he can't continue to do the things that he's saying he wants to do, which includes having homeschooled kids come and watch the calving, having Purdue students come with their professional folks from Purdue, and selling beef and beef products from his store, along with local produce, without having a use variance. Those are all things that are currently permitted, is my understanding, where he is, without creating this list. And, I think ultimately there may be people going in and saying, well, you're selling this and you shouldn't be. Those things will have to be sorted out until everyone there's an adjustment period. But I wonder if we're not overthinking this, because he's talking about having these events off-site, not on the farm. The things that he wants to do on the farm are small groups essentially coming to be, to see farm life or be involved in calving and so on. So perhaps that's one way to think about it. I don't know.
I agree
Simpler.
with you. Sorry, no.
No, please
No.
finish your thought.
I was just going to say, after, last month's hearing and this month's, it sounds like everything that were really big concerns are things that you can do today. And it sounds like you can have your big events at Cohatch and bring some business down to the local village, which, needs that support down there, and further help the community in that way, while still be able to have those events. So I am having trouble finding the hardship here.
Yes, I'm rather confused on the event front, because what's described verbally and what's in the operational plan are not the same thing. And I think the increased intensity of use described in the operational plan and the product list is more than we should allow through a use variance. The petitioner has another route to pursue his goals if they don't match the current zoning, and that's to apply for a zoning change. The intent of asking for an operational plan and a product list was to show constraints, and the petitioner kind of maybe pushed the boundaries and what got written down, and I'm not supportive of it.
I'm 100% for the right for someone to raise something on their land and to sell what they raise on their land.
And he has that right.
And he has that right currently, and he's just like every other farmer out here. We raise a product on the ground, we're off the land, and they sell it off their land. I don't have a problem with it. So some of the products on this list, like his tallow products, are all based out of his farm products. I don't have a problem with. But when we get down into some of these products, it sounds more like a supermarket than a small farmer's market. And I understand the intent. It's just, it's a lot of product, especially for a 500 to 600 square foot retail location. I guess I still have concerns on how many square foot the retail location is going to be, because once you start bringing freezers in and start bringing any product in, you're going to fill up that 500 to 600 feet. With that would be, I'm going to put my planning commission hat on now. You're going to have to do a development plan. With that comes some standards, including a photometric standard. They're going to be challenging to get to. So initially I was leaning towards allowing the events, but I'm not sure what the events are, I guess. And the retail side, I think he has all the right in the world to sell what he raises on his farm. I just think there needs to be some limits on that as well. There is a definition of local. I've always said you can stretch it to 100 miles. In my mind, it's 10 miles. But a lot of these products on the list are not going to be local products. So.
I am, however, supportive of the sign variance request.
Right, I think that's separate and still
Well, it's still in front of us, but
Right.
it hasn't been talked
Right,
about tonight.
That's right, I agree with you. So are we ready to make a decision, at least, let's start with the use
I'm ready to
variances.
make a motion if you're ready for me, Chair.
Okay, yep, ready.
I move that docket 2025-22 UV use variance to allow an outdoor recreation facility at 9015 East 200 South Zionsville be denied as presented and described.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst. We have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Any further discussion? Mr. Dale, would you take a vote? Roll call, please.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Amanda Miller.
Aye.
Kathy Postlethwaite.
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
That variance is denied. Another motion?
Sure, I'll continue on.
Please.
I move that docket 2025-23 UV use variance to allow a retail use at 9015 East 200 South Zionsville be denied as presented and described.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fedor. Further discussion? Mr. Dale?
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
Amanda Miller.
Aye.
Kathy Postlethwaite.
Aye. Okay, thank you. So that has been denied. We do still have the development standards variance with regard to the signage. Any discussion or thoughts? I think, Jonathan, you have mentioned that previously, and anything
Yeah,
else?
so with the denial of the use variances, right, what is still allowed is the farming operation, right? And he does have the right to operate his farm, which would be a business. And, the sign regulations in the R2 are limiting for a business. And so we still, despite the outcome of the use variances, we support his ability to have signage for his farm. And so staff's position doesn't change on that.
Supportive of that.
I would as well.
Are we ready for a motion?
We are.
I move that docket 2025-24 DSV development standards variance to exceed one sign per lot, exceed maximum combined area for signs, and provide for 3 Willys Wagyu wall signs, 1 Willys Wagyu gate sign, and 1 temporary office yard sign for property located at 9015 East 200 South be approved as presented and described based on the findings in the staff report and staff recommendations, submitted findings of fact, and evidence submitted during the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fedor. Further discussion? Mr. Dale?
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
Kathy Postlethwaite.
Aye.
Amanda Miller.
Aye.
That is approved. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Ready, Mr. Smith? Okay, the next item on the agenda, new business, docket number 2025-26-DSV. Thomas Rumsher, is the petitioner present? Mr. Andreoli. We'll start with the staff report. This is a development standards variance. Mr. Smith?
Yeah, so,
Okay, 2026, 2025, 26. Okay, this is a development standard variance, section 194082, table 3. And you'll see on the staff report, there are 3 requests. The first one is to reduce the south side yard setback of 40 feet. Number 2 is to allow an accessory structure to exceed the square footage of the primary residence. And number 3, allow the height of the structure to exceed the height of the primary residence. I guess I failed to mention the property is zoned ag, which means as it relates to number 1, the side yard setback standard, rather than being commonly associated, the 5-foot commonly associated with other accessory or other residential zoning classifications, it depends on what the buffer yard table says. And this one was ag to ag, which means this property has a side yard setback of 40 feet. As proposed, the building sits 8 feet from that side property line. I also want to note, before I forget to mention it, there was letters of interest submitted for this, I believe, by the adjoining property owners, and those were included in your packet as well. To skip to the analysis where we talked about this, as far as the side yard setback standard, I just talked about that. The standard although it's a setback standard, the number is derived from the ag buffer yard, which is 40 feet. They're building this building 8 feet from the side yard, so an encroachment of 32 feet. Total square footage of this structure, of all accessory structures, will sit at, I believe, 3,700 square foot accessory structure. So a total of which will be 4,140 square feet. So the accessory structures after this is complete will exceed the primary residence by 1,258 total square feet, which again goes against the standard in the ordinance. The third one is the height. The primary residence is 22 feet. Proposed structure is currently sitting at 25 feet. So that's what's creating the need for the 3 variance requests. Item number 1, or variance number 1, I should say, to reduce the south side yard setback. Staff does not support this request. Although we agree with the petitioner on items number 1 and 2, the grant will not be injurious to public health or safety, and the use or value of the area adjacent to the property will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Staff agrees as it relates to that variance on those first 2 criteria. It's the third criteria related to unnecessary hardship where we disagree. Again, we define unnecessary hardship as all relevant factors, when taken together, indicate the land involved cannot yield a reasonable return because of a unique circumstance. Unnecessary hardship justifying the grant of a variance cannot be based on self-created conditions. A mere showing of economic loss is not sufficient. In this case, the petitioner could adhere to the standard, but selected this spot on the property due to the location of the existing driveway. Technically, they could redesign the driveway to account for this standard. Rather than doing that, they elected to seek a variance. And that's a design decision, and because of that, staff doesn't believe that's unnecessary hardship. And so we don't support the first variance request. The second variance request, to allow the accessory structure to exceed the total area of the primary residence. This one, for similar reasons, we don't support. Again, we agree with criteria number 1 and 2, along with the petitioner. The grant will not be injurious to public health or safety. Granting this will not impact the use or the value of adjacent areas. However, again, the standard is unnecessary hardship, which we just defined as not being self-created. We believe the property already yields a reasonable return. The zoning code could Would also allow the petitioner add an additional 2,700 square feet without requiring a variance. However, they didn't go with the 2,700 square feet. They exceeded that, which again is a self-created condition, and because of that, we can't support the request. Variance number 3, to allow the height. Again, we don't support this. Similar as number 1 and number 2, we agree with the petitioner. The grant will not be injurious to public health or safety. The use and the value of the area on the adjoining properties will not be impacted or affected by granting this variance. However, the standard is unnecessary hardship. We believe the height is a design decision. Again, it's self-created. Rather than redesigning it to comply or trying to somehow extend the height of your house, there are other options. Granting a variance should be the last resort. Rather than going those routes, they are seeking a variance, and because of that, staff believes it's self-created. Therefore, it doesn't meet the standard, and we don't support that. So to recap, we're unfavorable because we don't believe these requests rise to the level of unnecessary hardship. I'm going to turn it back over to you. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there questions for staff about these petitions? The primary residence here is an older home, is that correct?
I believe so. It's a one-story older home, I believe.
One-story
And I
ranch.
think, based off the conversation Mr. Andreoli and I had, the petitioner intends to do some remodeling in the future, which, if that remodel occurs, depending on what they do, could impact the need or the need for some of these variances. I'm not sure what that remodel looks like. Maybe you can speak to that, but.
Questions for the staff? Mr. Andreoli?
Thank you. For the record, Mike Andreoli, 1393 West Oak Street. I'm here with Tom Roomer. Mr. Roomer bought his 2-acre site about a year and a half ago. All of the changes existing on the property, all of the improvements on the property, he purchased as is. He's caused no improvements on the property since he bought it a year and a half ago. From a site standpoint, the actual driveway of this property is on the far south property line. If you look at the actual site plan, if Jonathan can pull it up, it's on the very far south property line. That's where this existing old barn is that he wants to tear down, and had proposed a 3,700 square foot a new barn to be located at that site. It is, from a property standpoint, it's a hardship as to the property to try to redo the driveway or try to turn that to go to either the back of the property or come in a different way, say the north property line. One of the reasons is that he has his septic and finger system in the front yard in the far north part of the house area. So it will make that impossible to try to access from the north side. Everything has to be accessed off that south property line. One of the things that we suggested to Jonathan and shared with Jonathan is that the county has now been dealing with the accessory structure issue as well over a period of time, and they've just adopted some new rules and regulations. We recognize certainly that this is within your jurisdiction and this is your call, but until a reorganization occurred, this particular property was about as far out of Zionsville as you can find. It's at the far north west part of Zionsville's jurisdiction at this point, off that county road. And so I thought it was relevant to share that with Jonathan, and the county now will allow in an ag district, which this is, for a single family use, which this is, one structure of 3,000 square feet to be added, with the cumulative accessory structures to be no more than 4,000 square feet. That's their new standards that they've been operating off of for about, I'd say maybe 4 months now. I'm sure Jonathan was not aware of that. But we have dealt with this in the county now. And that is the standards. So what we have suggested, even though it still doesn't fully comply with your standards, but in the spirit of trying to see if we could do everything we can do to make this acceptable, we will agree to reduce the structure that we were proposing of 3,700 square feet to 3,000 square feet, so that we at least comply with the standards that you would normally see in the ag areas out in the county area. In addition, I was able to share with Jonathan that Mr. Roomer is planning he has 3 kids, and they're getting to the age where they need cars and garage space. So in addition to the new structure that he is seeking to put up, with your permission, he is going to be making an additional 4-car garage with basketball court and office above, several thousand square feet. That won't be done for another year to 2. He needs the space for the additional barn to tear down the old barn, make the improvement, and to go ahead and put the new barn up of 3,000 square feet, not 3,700 as in the application. We will agree to a commitment that we will apply for a building permit by September 1, 2027 at the latest, to go ahead and put an addition in that will see that the square footage of the single-family residence will exceed all the accessory structures, because that will be the upshot of what will happen when he puts this garage. It will be an attached garage, and Roger shared with me the thoughts about detached versus unattached in terms of accessory structure. It will be part of the primary structure if it's appropriately attached, and so we will make sure that that happens. But we will go ahead and make a commitment that within 2 years, we will be able to go ahead and apply for a building permit in order to go ahead and get the primary structure at or exceeding all of the accessory structures. From us, it's a timing issue more than anything else. And had we been ready to go ahead and start the primary structure addition today, we might have been able to wait a period of time in order to do that. But from a hardship standpoint as to the property, we can't really come in any other way. It makes sense to use the part of the pad that the old barn is on to locate the new accessory structure that we're proposing, now 3,000 square feet, not 3,700, but keep it in the same location with the same setbacks in that area. It's been there for forever. Part of the reason that we want to keep it there is that the neighbors immediately to the south utilize that ground in the back for their ATVs and forerunners and those types of things in the back. It helps buffer our house from that activity in the back. We saw that they had tracks back there when we bought it. We knew it when we bought it. But the noise can be a bit much sometimes. We're not complaining about it, but that's a benefit to us to be able to have that structure kept in the same spot. The other thing is, from a hardship standpoint and from the actual road going in, it literally comes right off that south property line and goes right back into that area. So with those commitments, we would hope that the board would be able to pass the approval tonight. And as I said, we will make the commitment as to the additional primary structure building as part of a commitment that will be recorded and run with the land and be part of your approval process, so that the approval of the variance will be substantially buffered by this commitment as well. Be happy to answer any questions that you have. I think one additional thing, I think Jonathan mentioned to me, he may have got a call or a letter from a couple of the surrounding property owners that didn't have any problem with this, but they were concerned about the drainage. Mr. Rumor brought his contractor here tonight, there is a drainage swale that runs through the property. That's part of the other reason from an accessible standpoint. It's all north of the driveway, but there's a pronounced drainage swale that runs through with a culvert under the road that goes to the drainage immediately to the west, where they have a drainage swale that takes the water down to a legal tile, a legal drain. So that's an additional problem, but it's from a how do we access the property standpoint, it's a problem. But it's also a benefit to Mr. Rumor in terms of the drainage. His contractor is redoing some of the tiling and all the drainage there. He's going to have to pull a drainage permit for the 3,000 square foot structure if approved. That drainage permit will be done in front of the Boone County Drainage Board. But fortunately, he's got an outlet on his property that's going to serve the property well to be able to get the drainage handled, so there won't be any difficulties or problems with the drainage. But wanted to make that one comment and assure the neighbors that that will not be an issue, mainly because he's got the outlet right on his property, which is not always the case either here in Zionsville or otherwise. So he's got an opportunity to be able to go ahead and make sure all that drainage works and gets away in a swale that's currently existing on the property. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to drop this building down to 3,000 square feet. That's going to make, you still need the 8 feet? You still need the 8 feet only on the south setback? If the building decreases from,
Still need the same setback.
same setback on the,
Still need the same setback.
Mr. Andreoli, I'm sorry, you need to be at the podium, sorry.
Still need the same setback variance. What we do is we just lessen the square footage, probably a combination of width as well as length, but still keep it at that same location. That is by far the best and most sensible location to be able to put that, especially if we're going to do an addition that's going to be on the south part of the house. We can't access the north part of the house because of the septic and the finger system up in the front and the north side. So the new addition is going to be connected to the house going south and to the back. So
I think with regard to the height of the building, the hardship is when you have a one-story ranch-style home, which is, I think, what I understand the primary residence is, that does create complications for building an outbuilding that is going to not be taller than your primary residence. So I think I feel a little bit that's a constraint that is, maybe, I don't know if you would call that a hardship. It's a given circumstance, so.
It's ag ground, it's zoned agriculture. And I don't know how you own, I have 5, but I don't know how you get by even on 2 without a barn that can reasonably hold a tractor. And you can't take a 40-horse tractor and pull it into a garage space. So
Let alone a
I don't have a
basketball
problem
court.
with the height of a building exceeding the primary structure, particularly on a ranch home in the ag area such as this is. You got to be able to maintain your property.
Height and size.
And size as well,
Right.
yes.
It-
Yeah, it's zoned agriculture, and in my eyes, that's farmland. And farmers need, they need barns to maintain their equipment, so.
One could make comment on it's 2 acres, not 20 acres. However, it is zoned ag. And I'm generically supportive of height and accessory building sizes being larger than a home.
I'm right there with you on that one.
So I would ask that, given that we have received a letter with concerns about drainage, and during the construction process, that appropriate care be taken to be sure that there's no damage to the neighboring property, given the fact that it's so close to the property line and so, so much into the setback, that appropriate care be taken to interact with these neighbors to be sure that they are not unhappy with what's happening to their property. And you said your contractor is here. I would hope that would be one of the first things you would do before, and perhaps you know your neighbors already. If you would like to step to the podium and give your name and address, please. Yeah.
Tom Remore, 145 South, 775 East. No, I talk with the neighbors now back and forth quite a bit. They told me they were sending that in. They just wanted to make sure they were covered. The contractor's planning on building a whole drainage system through the backyard to get to the swell, so everything is drained off the property. When I moved in, I didn't realize how bad it was, and now we're trying to fix all that stuff. So having them there, we're going to put a silt fence up along that property line on the south side, so nobody can touch the far side of their property. So we have, I don't see any issues with making sure that they're in the loop on everything.
Are there any other questions for the petitioner?
Oh, I probably have some, but maybe give the public a chance to.
Anyone here that would like to speak about this petition? Do we have anybody online? No?
You know, Mr. Andreoli, on behalf of his permit, it certainly isn't necessary for me, and Mr. Andreoli has practiced in front of Zionsville governmental bodies for a number of years and is certainly a trustworthy individual, and I have no doubt his client is. I don't even know how we would enforce that commitment. They're fortunate in this case. I believe it's unenforceable. It's also not required from my point of view. I have struggled understanding how things are laying out on this property. I kind of wish we had some better visuals. But do I understand the reason we can't move the driveway is that the finger system is between the home and 775 East, is that correct?
So basically from the front of the house, going right towards the street.
Yeah, so the septic is out in front.
It's
with
got
the
6 fingers, and it's that whole, pretty much the top portion.
I've got a drawing, Jim, if you'd like to see it from the original construction, it shows.
I think I've made kind of clear how I stand on it, but yeah, I would love to see it, just because my brain is not braining right now on this.
But also, is this a well? Is this serviced by a well, and it's a well out back?
On the back, so that would be the northeast side of the house, corner of the house.
I don't know that I brought it. We just had received it this afternoon from the contractor, but it goes from the front of the house, the finger systems,
spreads out.
lines all the way, not all the way to the street, but a fair distance, probably about at least halfway, and then the septic system is up on the northwest corner of the house, up in that area.
And the other problem you have there is the swell comes through there too.
And so also help me, there was or is an existing structure that's being taken down?
There's an old barn, yeah.
And could somebody, okay, the old barn is that small
the
darker bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
This will show it better if you could. It's in this area right in here. These trees are not there because it's.
I understand. Yeah.
It's right here, and then here's the swale that runs right down through the property, whereas the drainage swale that goes to the outlet, across the road, and then to the legal drain. So that's where everything will connect up, is through this swale, out through that culvert, into the culvert there, and then across the road where there's a drainage trail that goes down to the legal drain. So that's how everything goes. So the driveway's on the south side of that, and you'd have to relocate everything up into the finger system and the septic system up into that area.
Thank you for that, Mr. Andrew.
When you said you were doing an addition to the home, did you say you're adding bedrooms and?
No, office.
Office, okay. I
Office
was gonna
above
say
the
you-
garage.
And a 4-car garage.
Yeah.
It's a 2-car garage, and now we're gonna add 2
The reason I
spaces
ask on
to it
bedrooms
and
is
put a office above it.
the septic probably becomes a moot point because you add bedrooms, you're going to have to probably add septic capacity as well. So,
I don't even think we're gonna put a bathroom up there, and there's not the intent right now.
Okay. Further questions? Are we
Thank you for indulging me.
close to clarity?
I like a 40-foot setback in ag to ag
Right.
for a lot of reasons. Overspray, cross-pollination, potential fires, field fires, et cetera. But in this case, it doesn't look like the property directly to the south is being farmed currently. It looks a little bit like rugged terrain, some trails and so forth. So I guess I still struggle with that one. So.
Does it help you at all to remind you there is an existing structure that is,
And that does help me quite a bit. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. Sometimes I gotta have you help me walk through this a little bit.
Which is either was non-compliant to start with, or the rules were different?
It probably wasn't even an issue
Yeah.
when it was built.
Yeah, I'm guessing. So are we ready to make a decision?
Yeah.
We have stipulations which we will be adding, which are the decreasing the size to 3,000 square feet from 3,700 square feet. And there was something else, I think.
what was
Building
the second
permit.
one, the building permit one?
Building permit
Yeah,
thing,
but
which,
I think we're granting this based on the evidence we have in hand, not on the evidence that's going to be accruing sometime 2 years from now. So-
I would hate to write down an unenforceable condition on top of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we have his best intentions to do this addition, so sufficient.
Yeah.
all right, I'll start with the first one. I move that docket 2025-26-DSV Development Standards variance to reduce the rear yard setback to 12 feet for the property located at 145 South, 775 East be approved as presented and described based on the findings in the staff report, staff recommendations, submitted findings of facts, substantial compliance with the submitted site plans, and evidence presented during the public hearing.
Do we have a second? Do we need to add and commitments made during the public hearing?
I think we had that in,
That would be for the structure.
for the
Okay.
structure,
All right.
yeah.
Okay. Do we have a
Fine.
second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst. Any further discussion? Mr. Dale?
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Amanda Miller,
Aye.
Kathy Postlethwaite.
Aye. Ready to, somebody want to soldier on the next?
Yeah, I'm trying to find where I need to change the. All right, we may need to change this. I move that docket 2025-26 development standard, or DSV development standard variance to allow accessory square footage to exceed the primary square footage for the property located at one findings in the staff report, staff recommendations, submitted findings of facts, substantial compliance with submitted site plans, evidence presented during public hearing, as well as commitments of the accessory structure not to exceed 3,000 square feet during the public hearing, or public meeting.
Well done, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst. Further discussion? Mr. Dale?
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Amanda Miller,
Aye.
Kathy Postlethwaite.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, last one. I move that docket 2025-26-DSV development standards variance to allow the height of the proposed accessory structure to exceed the height of the primary residence for the property located at 145 South, 775 East be approved as presented and described based on the findings in the staff report and staff recommendations, submitted findings of facts, substantial compliance with the submitted site plan, and evidence presented during the public hearing.
Mr. Fedor, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst. Further discussion? Mr. Dale?
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Amanda Miller,
Aye.
Kathy Postlethwaite.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2025-27 5-SE. Trevor and Natalie Peters, are you present? Good. We'll have the staff report, and then you can come to the podium and give your name and address for the record.
Okay. So, as you mentioned, this is a special exception to allow the construction of a single-family residential home in the Ag zoning district. This property does have a little bit of history. You'll remember where a similar request was approved by the Parkers. Here it says it was in 2021. This is part of that same land. The Parkers are taking advantage of a clause in the subdivision control ordinance that allows them to split this parcel without having to go through the subdivision process through Plan Commission. They're exercising their right to their one-time lot split exemption. So this is now going to be 6.3 acres. And so the Peters are having to come back, just like the Parkers did, and they're having to request a special exception to allow for the construction of this home. And again, this is just for one single-family home. We did get letters of concern about future subdividing. Just to be clear, any future subdivision, not only would that require additional approvals through BZA to build those homes, it would also require Plan Commission action as well to approve the subdivision. But again, this is just for one lot, 6.3 acres, one single-family home. To jump to staff's positioning as it relates to approval of the special exception, we support this request based on the findings below. Number one, we agree with the petitioner. The use will not be injurious to public health or safety. If the request is granted, the petitioner is still required to receive approval of an ILP, or an improvement location permit, which ensures the structure complies with applicable development standards for single-family homes. Those standards are established to protect the public health and safety. Any additional deviations from those standards require BZA approval. And so for that reason, we believe criteria number one has been met. Number two, the proposed use will not be injurious or adversely affect the adjacent area. We agree as well. The adjoining properties are zoned ag. Most of them have already been developed with single-family homes. We don't see how this will adversely impact that, especially just the development of one single-family home. Criteria number three, we agree with the petitioner as well. It's consistent with the character of the district and the land uses authorized therein and the town's comprehensive plan. The property is surrounded by other single-family homes. The character of this area has already been established. The use will align with the character of the district, and with approval of this special exception, it is an authorized land use in the ag zoning district. Additionally, the comprehensive plan identifies this area as ag general, which if you look in the comprehensive plan, it does allow for limited residential development, which is exactly what this petitioner is proposing. So we think not only criteria number one and number two, but we believe criteria number three has also been met, which is why we support this request. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions?
Are there any structures on this property currently?
No, I don't believe there are. There shouldn't be, because you're not allowed to have an accessory structure without the development of a single-family home. So.
Petitioner, if you'd like to come to the podium and give your name and address, please, for the record.
Thank you very much. We are Trevor and Natalie Peters. We're at 6525 Seabiscuit Road in Whitestown. As was mentioned, we're requesting a special exemption to permit residential use on a 6.3 acre parcel located at 345 South 775 East, currently zoned agricultural. We have a purchase agreement contingent upon approval to construct a home on the property with an anticipated closing date here in the next week or two depending on the results here. Again, the property is primarily open land, tree line and a small creek on the south side, surrounded by similar large lot residential and agricultural properties, cemetery and a church as well. Essential infrastructure is already in place, including buried electrical service and a gravel driveway providing access from 775 East. The property also includes access to a legal drain, and a soil test was completed within the last 5 years to confirm the location of a suitable septic field. Our intent aligns, we believe, with the purpose of agricultural zoning and supports low-density development. While we don't have a finalized building plan on what we want a home to look out or look like or where that site would be, we anticipate constructing a single-story home with an attached garage and outdoor living space within a few years of closing. We assure you all that the home will be consistent in size and appearance with surrounding properties. This proposed use is compatible, we believe, with the character of the area, will not pose a nuisance to neighboring properties, and represents and respects the rural and scenic nature of this part of Zionsville. Our ultimate goal, again, is to build our forever home, a place where nature, wildlife can thrive, and where we can raise our daughter. We're committed to being good stewards of the land and to continuing the respectful treatment shown by the current owners. And while we have the microphone, I also like to just thank Jonathan and his staff. This is our first time going through the BZA process at all, and he kept our feet to the fire to make sure everything was turned in on time, but he showed us a good amount of grace and helped us understand it all. So.
Thank you. Hopefully this hasn't all been too unpleasant for you this evening to put you off.
I hope this is, he was great. Yeah, I hope this is easy on you all.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the petitioner?
Same question I had for staff. There is no structures on this currently. I'm looking
Correct.
at the map,
There's
and
a
there's a building real close there.
correct on the part
Okay,
that
just
they
wanna make
the
sure.
part we're
Thank
still
you.
on.
I don't have any questions.
Any questions?
Are we ready to? Is there anyone here that would like to speak about this petition? Do we have anybody online, Joe? No one? Well, are we ready to?
Sure. I move that docket 2025-27-SE, special exemption to provide for the construction of a single-family residence in the rural general agricultural AG zoning district at 345 South, 775 East, be approved as presented and described based on the findings in the staff report, staff recommendations, submitted findings of facts, and evidence submitted during the public hearing.
Second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Further discussion? Mr. Dale?
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
Amanda Miller.
Aye.
Kathy Postlethwaite.
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Good luck.
Good luck, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for spending the evening with us. No, boiler up, boiler up.
I think you were playing to the crowd up on.
I went to SIU, so I didn't waste my time, no.
Mr. Smith, are we ready to? Yep. And the last item on the agenda is, wait for it, docket number 2025-28-UV, Regal Custom Homes, and I assume that you gentlemen are here for that petition. So we'll have the staff report first, and then you can approach the podium and give your names and addresses, please. Jonathan?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so this is another use variance. The relevant section number is 194-169, which is essentially the sign regulations for our rural property zoning classifications. In this case, the property is RE, which, if you scroll down here, you'll see the sign code, or I thought I put it on here. I guess I didn't include it. But either way, to give you a history of this property, you'll remember, I believe it was the last BZA meeting, maybe 2 meetings ago, This property was approved for a major residential subdivision. I believe it was 14 total lots. That use was approved, and they're now moving through the Plan Commission approvals. You'll see here on the history, they were continued, I believe, continued at the August meeting to the September 15th meeting. I guess pending the results of this meeting, possibly, and some other issues. Either way, that's the history. We approved the subdivision. At the time, I kind of take credit for this. I should have brought it up, but I knew that signs weren't allowed in the RE, and I just didn't even think about it. But when the subdivision came through, they did not ask, obviously, for the signs. So that's what they're doing here, is they're asking for the signs for the subdivision. The RE zoning district does not allow for that. And so jumping to the staff analysis, when you look at a use variance, right, one of the things we look at is the surrounding uses. You'll see the sites surrounded by other RE zoning, other parcels that are zoned RE. The comprehensive plan, again, we went through this during the subdivision. Again, we believe this aligns with that. Skipping to the findings where staff's position, as you'll see here, we support the request. Number one, the grant will not be injurious. We agree with the petitioner. We don't think this will impact public health or safety. Number two, the use or value of the area included in the variance will not be affected. Again, we agree with the petitioner on item number two. Number three, it arises from some condition on the property involved in the strict application of the zoning ordinance will result in unnecessary hardship. Again, this gets back to the zoning ordinance. We agree with the petitioner. The zoning district allows for major residential subdivisions through BZA approval. A few other things that are allowed: law offices, hair salons, insurance, and academic centers, all of which would probably appreciate having some sort of business sign, but this zoning classification does not permit that. That's what's unique about this site, and so for that reason, we agree on number three. Number four, strict application of the zoning ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. We agree. Again, just to read to the record, we define unnecessary hardship as all relevant factors, when taken together, indicate land involved cannot yield a reasonable return because of unique circumstance. Unnecessary hardship justifying the grant of a variance cannot be based upon a self-created condition. Mere showing of economic loss is not sufficient. Again, in this case, the zoning ordinance allows for major residential subdivisions, but it doesn't allow for signage. It's common for subdivisions to have signs located at their entrances. We believe the lack of development standards in general for signs in the RE district is what creates the need for this hardship, or the need for this variance that's creating the unnecessary hardship. For that reason, we agree with the petitioner. This criteria was met. Number five, the grant does not interfere with the comprehensive plan. Again, we agree with the applicant. The comprehensive plan recommends low-density residential development, which is consistent with residential subdivisions. The comprehensive plan does not speak on signage. However, it is very common for subdivisions to have signs located at their entrance. For that reason, we believe the criteria has been met. Staff supports this request. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions for staff? If you'd like to give your name and address, please, for the record.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Kyle Russateritz, attorney at Denton's, 10 West Market Street, Suite 2700, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46204. Good evening. Stood before you here just a couple months ago, as Jonathan noted. The board approved a special exception for a 14-lot major subdivision in the rural equestrian zoning district. As Jonathan has kindly outlined, here to stand before you today for a petition to provide for two monument signs for this subdivision. Next slide, please. Wanted to, and certainly I have printouts if the visuals offered on the slides are not visually appealing to the board here. Just a reminder of what the subdivision looks like here. There are 3 parcels in the southwest corner accessed from 96th Street, and then a single parcel, parcel 14, in the southeast corner off of 875, and then the remainder of the 14 lots, 10 of which accessed just a bit north there, private streets. And so if we go to the next slide, I want to highlight for you the 2 signs are needed because of the 2 main entrance points to the subdivision there. So you'll see outlined in a red circle the location of one sign on 96th Street, which would be the entrance to serving 3 of the subdivision parcels, those in the southwest corner of the subdivision. Next slide, please. And then here along 875, the entrance sign on the north side of the access drive that serves the majority of the remaining parcels, the 10 parcels there. Next slide, please. Thought to provide visuals of the proposed sign here. I have 2 visuals, one on this slide offering a color rendering, and one on the next slide, a black and white rendering here to offer that it would be a concrete column wrapped in stone with a wooden lateral affixed to the foundation there, and then with the sign offered here highlighting the name of the subdivision, Saddle Creek Farms, and offering homage to the rural equestrian nature of the subdivision here. Stone base, and then a metal panel sign affixed. I know in the staff report, their recommendation is that if approved this evening, that the signage meet these renderings, and the developer is agreeable to the signage on this Exhibit 5 as offered in the staff report here. As Jonathan noted here, really standing before you today because of the unique nature of this rural designation, really not permitting signage, but feel as though the findings of fact, which I'd incorporate by this reference, are well met. Jonathan and staff's findings of fact really mirror those that we offered in our petition. I'll just highlight a few in particular. Certainly the sign would be maintained by the HOA that would govern the subdivision itself, and the sign would sit outside of the right-of-way. I think would both provide a sort of common development for subdivisions like this one, but certainly one of the more important elements being to provide directional representation for fire safety and otherwise here. So happy to answer any questions here, but certainly been a long evening for the board, so I want to respect your time. Thank you for your time this evening.
I have a question for you. Are these signs going to be lit?
So they will not be internally illuminated, but there will be exterior lighting to illuminate from the ground up, to illuminate the sign themselves.
Is it possible you could consider top-down lighting instead of ground-up lighting? I would just ask that you consider that.
Yes, I'm joined by
Because it's-
Brandon Knox, Development Manager with Regal Custom Homes, and certainly that can be a consideration.
There's less pollution, light pollution, if you are lighting from the top down rather than, and in that particular place, it's dark, and that sometimes having lights on those types of signs can be blinding for people on those roads, so.
Yeah, I think that makes good sense for the signage, considering where it is.
Other questions for the petitioner? Do we have anyone else that would like to speak about this petition? No? No? Anyone online? No?
When was the last time we had to have somebody online?
It happens, it's just
It
not very often.
does, it's just not very often anymore.
Plan Commission more often, I think.
Yes.
I have people tell me they watch these meetings. So
I do too, and
Are we ready to make a decision? Further questions?
I would ask if you're going to make the lighting top-down, make that a condition of approval.
That makes sense.
If that's something,
That's doable? You could agree to that?
I'll take it. I move that docket 2025-28
Wait, just a moment,
Oh.
Mr. Fedor, because I think we're still in discussion phase here
I'm
with the
sorry.
petitioner. So we want to be sure we don't,
Yeah, so from a condition standpoint, that would certainly be a discussion we need to have with the sign vendor. I think as offered in the first dialogue, it was a consideration. Whether that needs to be a condition or not would be a new consideration for us. We can certainly make all efforts to communicate with the sign vendor to illuminate the sign from the top rather than the ground, considering the comments about the blinding nature and the pollution, I think was the term there.
it's light pollution, but, and of course, it's
Light
good to bear in mind that this is in the middle of a rural area. And so that's another reason why the substantial lighting to be able to make the sign visible to people who are going there or trying to find the place, but not so great that it becomes in and of itself, a runway for the Indianapolis airport. So, I mean, I think you're saying you'll think about it, and that's, for me, not quite enough. I don't know whether
Well,
Matt's.
I will
others
say
agree.
I've worked with enough signage vendors that I can't, I don't know one that wouldn't do bottom-down lighting. Happy to, top-down lighting, I don't know if you need, I got 10 recommendations for you if that becomes an issue.
I think Josh could probably wire it. I mean, this is not a complicated thing. Too complicated for me, but.
Yeah, I don't want to overcomplicate it because I know it's possible, but,
I just think if the board has a strong feeling that you would like to see the lighting be down lighting, you have the right to impose conditions. It doesn't have to be an agreement. I mean, we could have an agreement, that's called a commitment, but if you want to impose that as a condition of your approval of the use variance, you're allowed to do that. And although I respect the petitioner saying we'll work really hard at it, they're not agreeing really
Right.
to that. So you'll have to decide how strongly you feel about it. But if you feel strongly, I would recommend imposing a condition with your approval so that you know the lighting's going to be top down.
Others agree with the point of view?
Yeah, or can we also continue it for 30 days and see if they can't straighten out if they can get the lighting downward? I mean,
Certainly
that's
could.
one of those two, we could do that as well.
You could do
but
that as well.
I like the idea of just putting it as a condition. I'm still willing to make a motion if we're ready for one.
Well, are we all in agreement that we'd like to?
I'm in agreement with making a motion, yeah. Only because I know it's possible and.
Mr. Hurst? Are you in
Oh, yeah,
agreement?
I'm good,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry, my silent
You
nodding in my
you
head wasn't
disappeared
enough.
for
Nobody's fed me yet, Kathy, I'm hungry.
Okay,
All right, I move that docket 2025-28-UV use variance to allow two monument signs for the Saddle Creek subdivision located in the rural equestrian zoning district for property at 78660 South, 850 East be conditionally approved as presented and described based on the findings in the staff report, staff recommendations, submitted findings of facts, evidence submitted during the public hearing, and the following conditions of approval. Downward lighting opposed to upward lighting on both monument signs.
thank you, Mr. Fedor. Is there a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst. Further discussion? Mr. Dale?
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Amanda Miller.
Aye.
And Kathy Postlethwaite.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that is the last item. There are other matters to be considered. Are there other matters to be considered? Mr. Dale? No?
Nope.
If not, the chair will, and would like to hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.